Good afternoon. I'm Clarice Pasco from PCA. May we request everyone to please settle down as we are about to start this afternoon session. Also, may I request everyone to please submit the pledge and commitment form to the Secretariat. Thank you.
Alam mo ba kung bakit tinawag na crop of opportunities ang coconut? Ang puno ng
Hello, everyone. Let's start. Let me introduce our first speaker for this afternoon. He finished his undergraduate studies in chemical engineering at Xavier University Ateneo de Cagayan and his master's degree in public administration in Andres Bonifacio College, Dipolog City. He is a licensed chemical engineer with a decade of experience in the coconut sector. Currently, he is working at the Science Research Specialist of the Non-Food Product Development Division of the Philippine Coconut Authority, Zamboanga Research Center. Please help me welcome Engineer Clifford M. Tagaktak to discuss the non-food coconut technologies and machineries.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you po sa lahat. So my topic this afternoon is about the non-food coconut technologies and machineries. Okay. So let me introduce to you the objective of our division, which is the non-food product development division. So we are tasked to conduct R&D activities on non-food coconut products, technologies, and processes that are responsive to the needs of the coconut industry, market-driven, cost-effective, and farmers-focused in support to PCA's major national programs. So, our technologies, so actually we have like 3 categories concerned. One of these is the processing and post-harvest machinery, then the non-food products development, and the renewable energy. And then it is subdivided into various technologies. So first, we're gonna talk about the coir processing technology. And then we have the charcoal briquette production. Then the post-harvest machinery. Then coconut timber products and processing. Coconut pit tannin technology. Solar-powered dryer for white copra. And we have also coconut-based mushroom cultivation. And the last but not the least is the coconut ethanol and sugar products. Okay, to start, so coir processing technology. So actually the husk is composed of 30% coir and then 70% of it is coco peat. So this is in terms of weight. So what are the advantages of coir? Of course, it's environment friendly, 100% biodegradable, water retention, improved soil fertility, cost-effective, droppability and compatibility to land surface, durable when wet, and can handle high water velocities. So the coir extraction processes are the following. So first, here, the retting. So this is the process of soaking the coir. Actually, this increases the quality of the coir produced. Then we have the decorticating. This is the separation of coir and coconut pit by a beating process using a decorticator. Then after that, another process is the coir pre-treatment process, where uh, softening, treating the coir with caustic soda. So this is just simply boiling the mixture for about 3 hours. And then the air drying, so drying the coir of at least 1 hour. Bleaching, treating the coir using chlorine in 10 minutes. And then dyeing. So you can actually add colors to the coir now. So here are the samples of the coir products that can be made. We have coir doormat, coir pot, coir jewelry, and then we have, of course, the biolags, coir laundry hamper. So I'm gonna show to you what are the different products that can be made from coir. So there are a lot, as you can see, and this can be sold somehow pricey. Then we have here, like, for example, the coir-inspired lampshade, lantern. So if a processor is really that creative, so it's basically what you want, then you can do it. Then here, because it's next week will be this, it's a beer month, so probably we can make the Christmas tree. Okay. And then there. So the tapestry, the coir bags, and of course the fiber sandals. These are pure coir products. Okay, so let's continue with the coir processing machineries. Of course, one of the known machineries from the coconut is the decorticating machine. So we have the single pass mobile decorticating machine. So that's our current specification. We are using 14 HP diesel engine. So the capacity of this decorticating is 5,000 has per day. So that is equivalent to 500 kilos of coir produced. And at the same time, you will have a 1,000 kilos of peat. Okay. And then you have the manual twining machine. Of course, this is the traditional machine. So this is very known. Then we would like to introduce to you, we have the pedal type twining machine. Now the difference between these two machines is that the manual twining machine is more or less there are two to three people that will operate it, while the pedal type single. Although you can only produce single ply, but the space that is required compared to the other traditional machine is that you don't need, because you can actually use the pedal type even at home. You're just sitting down. So that's the difference between the two. Okay, then that's our product for the pedal type twining machine. So we simply have the video just to show you how it works. Common operator for this actually will learn for about 30 to 2 hours is straight operating. So it can be learned. It's like doing the bicycle thing. So the only difference is that in the bicycle, you need to balance. Here, you just need to synchronize your feet with your hands. Okay. Another machine is the mechanized two-ply twining machine. Now, probably you will be asking what's the purpose of the single ply? Why is it not two-ply? It's because that the single ply, the one that you are making from the pedal type, will be fed in the mechanized two-ply twining machine. So this is now a semi-automated automated machine. So that's the picture of it. So the capacity of this mechanized two-ply for it can produce for like 1,400 meters of wire twined in a day. Now, basically, this machine actually supports, and this actually is the solution for the quality of the twined wire, because your produced wire twine, you can actually produce a minimum of 150 kN from the PNS, that the strength of the twine, and if you look at in this manner, 15 kilos, you can carry 15 kilos using this wire. So that's how simply it is compared when you are on the field. Okay. So this is how it works. Okay. Another machine which is very common. We have the looming machine, but this time we have the ratchet type. Now, this can be operated one operator. So that's the machine that we have. Okay. And then we also have the manual coir baling machine. So the use of this is to bale the coir. So it's manual, screw type. And then that's for the coir processing technology. I'm sorry if I somehow being very fast because of the time, but I would like to show everything what we have in the division. Okay, so now products from condensation. So from biomass, you have charcoal and wood tar. So from charcoal, you have briquettes, activated carbon, additive to fertilizers, additive to explosives. Now from wood tar, you may have wood vinegar, fractionated fuel oil, insecticides or herbicides, and additive to soil enhancers. Okay, let me continue. Charcoal production. So this is the process of charcoaling. So ignition of the coconut shells. And then we are actually using our charcoal kiln with a smoke trap. And that's why we have this. And then the loading of the coconut shell in that manner. And then so on. So after 6 to 8 hours of doing it, you can produce your charcoal. And then after that, for making briquettes, we have these machineries. We have the charcoal pulverizer, charcoal mixer, our extruder type briquettor, and of course, the briquette cutter. So the next slides will show you the operation of the briquettor. So this is semi-automated. Okay, the capacity is 100 kilograms per hour. And you can actually convert the machine from electric motor driven to diesel engine. So as you can see, with the current capacity, so one can actually produce a ton a day. Okay. So we start now with the post-harvest. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry because of the video attached to my presentation. That's why it's somehow very heavy. Okay, thank you. So we have the manual coconut dehusker. So an normal operator, a general operator can actually operate this and can produce a dehusked nut for like 1,500 pieces a day. So it's a simple P6. It's just a simple machine. Okay, then we have also the coconut husk chipper. So you can customize actually the end product of the husk chipper. It depends on the blade that is used. So, okay, next. So we also have the coconut smoothing machine. So this is to clean the coconut actually from the term smooth. Okay. Then we also have the mechanical coconut desheller. This is our prototypes. Okay. Next. Then we have the rotary trimmer for young coconuts, buko. And then the trimmer puncher for young coconuts. So I intend to attach a video so that you may appreciate the function of the machines. Okay. And then this, we call this our biomass shredder. We'd like to promote this because this is the solution of the uh, dumping of the bocos that are not shred. So now we have a shredder machine for that. So I say that this is the real biomass shredder because not only the soft ones that you can shred, even the fronds and other biomass coming from the coconut trees, and also, of course, from your farms. The capacity of this is actually 1.8 tons biomass per hour. Imagine. So this is already an AMTIC tested. And then our prime mover used is just a 14 HP diesel engine. Actually, we tried the biodiesel and it functions very, very well using the CME. And also the other machines that are shown to you, we tried the biodiesel and it functions very good. Okay, now we go over to the coconut timber products. So as you can see in the picture, we have a lot of furnitures there. So the moment the coconut tree is already senile and more or less the age is around 60 to 100 years old, then we can say that the coconut wood is now hard. So it's good for making the furnitures already. Now, what about the coconut pit tanning technology? This is new, of course, from the coconut husk. So we get the pit, and then we have to dry the pit to make it into a powder. So a simple illustration of the process. So from the coconut husk, because you're going to, of course, decortication, and after that you have the extraction, and then after extraction, separation, mechanical separation, pressing, and then drying. Okay. So what is this coconut pit tannin? So here are the possible products that we can have from the pit tannin. Of course, this functions corrosion inhibitor, wood colorant and preservative, fabric dye, fermentation inhibitor, and also coconut-based adhesive. Okay, next. Then we also have the solar-powered dryer for white copra. So with the use of this solar-powered dried copra, from the 36-hour of drying time, we actually reduce it to 24. And we believe if by improving further, we can still reduce the drying time of the drying actually. So that's our solar panels, solar PV panels. Then that's the actual trolleys. Okay. So when you have this solar powered dryer, so you just need to preset it to 90 degrees Celsius and 20% relative humidity. And then for 24 hours, you can produce the white copra. So the capacity is, our current prototype is, the capacity is 3,000 split nuts. But actually, we can still customize it depending on the volume that is required. Okay? So, let me share to you the comparison of white copra and the regular copra. So, the ones in the left side is the regular copra, while on the right side is the white copra. Okay? So, that's copra tapahan. And then, of course, we have also the oil comparison just by physical. Okay, the crude white coconut CNO is the ones that we see in the left, which is very clear, while the crude CNO is on the right. Okay, so let's move further. Coconut-based mushroom cultivation. That's our spawn base. Coconut-based spawn. Coconut-based fruiting bag. So actually, the 150 grams of spawn to produce media to 15 fruiting bags. That's about 800 grams in weight. And then the rate of colonization is about 3 to 4 weeks. 200 grams per harvest per fruiting bag. And then the harvest can be done 3 to 5 times per fruiting bag. So we tried actually in substitute of the rice as one of the media that is used for the mushroom production, and we observed that coconut is really also good. And then if you compare it, the rice it's by season, while in coconut it's all year round. Okay. Then we have the coconut ethanol products. So of course, from the coconut inflorescence sap, you can have the ethanol and then cocoa wine and the vinegar. And from ethanol, you can have the hand sanitizer, perfume-based, rubbing alcohol, and distilled liquor. And another, grass sap, bottled flavored cocoa juice, okay, syrup, then the cocoa sugar, of course, and cocoa condiments. Yeah. So that's all, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Engineer Clifford. Again, you may send in your questions by scanning the QR code located on your respective tables. They will be answered later by our resource persons during the panel discussion. Moving forward, please allow me to introduce the next speaker. He is a seasoned professional with a robust background in mechanical and petroleum engineering. He earned his degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Santo Tomas and later pursued further education in petroleum engineering at the University of Alberta and a master's course in industrial management through the Danish International Development Agency. His extensive career spans several decades in the petroleum industry, where he held various roles at Esso and Petron, including marketing representative, refinery supply planning engineer, and district manager. He also served as the general manager for multiple divisions within the Philippine National Oil Company and contributed to the development of biofuels through research on coconut oil. Post-retirement, Engineer Diaz continued to influence the industry as the general manager of the Asian Institute of Petroleum Studies, as an advisor for several government institutions and associations related to biodiesel and energy. He is also active in social initiatives, conducting seminars, and serving as a board trustee for the Philippine Columbian Association. A round of applause for Engineer Rafael S. Diaz, please.
Hello, Mike. Alright. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ang aking i-present sa inyo ngayong hapon, kaiba sa mga narinig nyo na kanina umaga or day before. This is not about the dietary benefit of coconut. Kaiba ito. Hindi dietary benefit, wala dyan yung saturation or monounsaturated or polyunsaturated. Kaiba ito, ang benepisyo nito, environment. So we're not talking about the level of saturations, but more on the volatility, temperature, boiling points of all these component of coconut. Anyway, basically, pangatlong beses ko na ito magsalita tungkol sa nyog industry. The first one was in June of 2019. I spoke in the Global Bioenergy Partnership, also of the Coconut Energy Week. My topic then was Philippine Quest for Environmental Health. And then in August of 2019 as well, I spoke in the Second World Coconut Congress in SMX. The topic was differentiation of biodiesel from the different feedstocks. Today, 5 years after, marami na tayo natutunan sa coconut, and we realize that is a very good product in the quest for decarbonization. Alam niyo po, kailangan yung decarbonization because every year, our atmosphere is being dumped with CO2, and it's causing global warming. I'm very happy to present to you a simplified slide of something that is very complicated topic. This started with the comment of my daughter, because when she saw I was working on the PowerPoint, and she said, "Pa, are you doing a PowerPoint?" Sabi ko, "Oo. Pa, prehistoric na yung style mo." Sabi ko, "Itong alam ko eh. Do you want me to help you? We can make it high-tech." And then I told her, my topic is really very complicated. And what I have been doing for the past 2 weeks is trying to simplify the complicated nature of this subject. Petroleum is very difficult to understand. Explaining biofuel, explaining the plant-based petroleum is doubly difficult. That's why I've spent so many days. The most difficult part of presentation is trying to figure out how I can simplify something that is complicated. So I'm happy to present to you this afternoon something that is old tech, something that is prehistoric, which is easier for me to explain. So medyo I remove all the mga complicated component. So let me start. Yan. Ito ay old tech. Wala yung mga high-tech. What is biodiesel? Biodiesel is plant oil converted to fatty acid metal ester. And it is used as organic diesel fuel. Biodiesel is produced with the removal of glycerin by reacting the plant oil with methanol through esterification. Alam nyo, wala po kasi yung digital pointer. Kaya as they said, something happens for a good reason. Yesterday, I kind of sprained my ankle, so I was forced to bring my cane. And now I have a pointer. Alam niyo po, yung soybean, rapeseed, sunflower, canola, jatropha, all the plant oil of Europe and US, UK and Canada, they are defined to have 1 part glycerin and 3 parts fatty acids. Alright? Kumbaga, ito yung asawa, yung glycerin, 3 yung kanyang asawa. Pangalan, fatty acid. That goes through esterification where it removes the glycerin and the resulting product is fatty acid metal ester, otherwise known as biodiesel. Yung baba. Ngayon po, ang biodiesel naman, galing sa CME naman ay isang klaseng biodiesel. CME stands for coconut metal ester. Kaiba po ito doon sa kanilang definition. Ang metal ester, yung coconut natin, ito yung asawa, 4 yung kanyang asawa. So hindi 3. And these 3 here, saturated fatty acid, monounsaturated fatty acid, polyunsaturated. These are the 3 fatty acids that they refer to in the US, Europe, plant oil. They don't have the medium chain saturated fatty acids. Lahat po sila, carbon 16 and carbon 18. They only differ in percentage. Wala po sila ng below carbon 16. Coconut lang po ang meron. Carbon 8 up to carbon 14. So that makes a very big difference compared to the other plant oil in US and Europe. Malaki yung kaiba niyan. So, ang ating nyog po is like an ideal diesel. If you look at the carbon chain profile of cocoa biodiesel, why is it like an ideal diesel? Because an ideal diesel po has a carbon chain profile of carbon 8 up to carbon 18 hanggang 18. That's the ideal. Yung hindi ideal diesel, ang carbon chain niya, carbon 8 hanggang mga carbon 23. So, this is, cocoa biodiesel is carbon 8 up to carbon 18. So it's almost the same as an ideal diesel. And it has 79 medium carbon chain. Hindi ko po dito sinasabing pareho ng MCFA. Ang reference lang dito yung kanyang volatility, yung kanyang boiling point. Kasi yung 79% medium carbon chain consists of 47% MCT, medium chain triglyceride, and 18% myristic acid, or a total of 79. Bakit po nakahiwala yung myristic? Kasi it is not part of the carbon 16 and carbon 18 of the European and US plant oil. Wala, o hindi siya kasali doon, yung carbon 14. At hindi rin naman siya kasali sa definition ng MCT. Ang MCT po, medium chain triglyceride, is only carbon 8, 10, and 12. So medyo neutral ang carbon 14. But when it comes to volatility, that should be part of the short chain. So mababa. So put together, cocoa biodiesel will volatilize very much the same as an ideal diesel. Carbon 8 to carbon 18. Makita niyo naman sa baba yung soybean biodiesel, tatlo fatty acid niya, they are basically unsaturated. Pero hindi ko po inaano dito yung whether it's saturated, mono, or poly. It's more on the boiling point temperature. So what is the significance of coconut methyl ester? It was developed only at the turn of the new millennium. It resuscitated the loss of export market introduced as cocoa biodiesel in the huge petroleum market. More importantly po, kaya tayo, the reason why we have clean air is because of cocoa biodiesel. I will explain later why. At the turn of the new millennium, our petroleum industry halos namatay. I think many know that the American Soybean Association demolished coconut oil in the US market for being 91% saturated, saying that high saturation kills the American people because of arterial clogging. But consequently, new scientific studies proved the accusation of ASA, or the American Soybean Association, to be wrong, and that coconut is the healthiest oil. Alam na natin yan ngayon. Now let me go to the quest for environmental health and decarbonization. Coconut methyl ester as the environment cleaner. Our concern with diesel, dalawa. First is the fuel itself. All the diesel, especially the diesel that we have in the Philippines, they have high molecular weight carbon at the back end of the diesel profile. That high molecular weight consists of mga asphaltenes and viscous part of the oil. Medyo mahirap sunugin. The reason why they're difficult, the reason why we have plenty of toxic emissions is because they're difficult to combust. They don't burn very well. And they result to mga air pollutants. The second problem with diesel is that is the engine. Because of poor combustion, it is prone to carbon deposition, which clogs the fuel injector and promotes carbon deposition in chamber and intake valves. And it causes abnormal spray because nababara yung injectors. Yun po ang basic problem ng ating diesel. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng maraming usok. Pero CME cures the diesel problem. You can see here that it has a medium chain which has powerful solvency of medium carbon chain. And this powerful solvent, it dilutes the viscous oil. Nadadilute yan, kaya madali siyang masunog. It dissolves the asphaltene. And then, it decarbonizes the deposits in the fuel injector and valves, and then it cures the engine problems. So, with CME added to our diesel, we are able to get clean air. Nawawala yung problems. And CME, without CME, wala itong benefits niya. Fossil diesel does not provide these benefits. Dami siya. But the CME provides many national benefits. You improve the coconut production, you improve the engine efficiency, you improve the fuel efficiency, and you develop a new market. These are all available because of CME. Kung walang CME, wala yan. Now let's go to CME for decarbonization. Decarbonization is simply refers to the reduction in emission of greenhouse gases, particularly CO2. Because CO2, being trapped in the troposphere year after year, causes global warming and climate change. Why the need for decarbonization? It's because every year the world dumps trillion metric tons of CO2. These are trapped in the troposphere. Troposphere is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. Every year resulting to worsening global warming and climate change yearly. About 37 trillion tons of CO2 was dumped in 2023. And much more before that, and many more in the years to come. Now, this one, the picture will speak for itself. Earth is reacting with frequent catastrophic events. The rivers and farmlands are drying up. Our biggest concern actually is that they are becoming more frequent and more violent. Well, let's pray that our greatest fear of high-intensity earthquake that will open up the Marikina Fault does not occur. Because if it does, well, that's goodbye to Metro Manila. The Marikina Fault runs from Bulacan to Laguna. So that's why decarbonization is the quest to restrain global warming, and we should all help to reduce carbon emission. And these are looking into the CO2 emitters. And who are they? Well, petroleum fuels. Every time when petroleum fuel is produced, it involves a lot of activities. There is this upstream, which involves oil well search, drilling, storage. Marami po siyang activities up to the time it is refined and distributed to the gas stations. And in every activity, there is always diesel engine that is used. And these diesel engines are emitting CO2s. The USDA and USDOE has made a study, and they state that 3.55 kilos of CO2 are emitted in producing each liter of petrofuel. The same study states that producing biodiesel uses very small amount of fossil fuels at 78.4% lower than each liter of fuel. So the net CO2 emission in producing 1 liter of biodiesel is only 0.77 kilogram. So this is just the production of fuel. Hindi lang yan, meron pang iba. Meron pa tayo nung emission in diesel combustion. As shown in the slide, 1 liter of diesel emits 2.7 kilos of CO2 in combustion, and CME, on the other hand, emits only 0.703 CO2 per liter of biodiesel. Hindi lang yan. When we promote the use of biodiesel, we increase coconut palm, plantation of trees, and in every farm, each hectare of coconut palm absorbs about 20 tons of CO2 from the atmospheric air. So there's plenty of CO2 reduction with the use of CME. Now, these are the comparison, total CO2 emissions of kilogram per liter, 6.25 in diesel and 1.47 in CME, plus the sequestration of farmland. Now, the other source of CO2 emission, I point at the diesel engines in Europe, US, and UK as major sources of CO2 emissions. Why do I say this? I would like to spend a little more time here. Sa kanila, sa Europe at US, they don't care much about the quality of diesel. Or maybe they do, but not as much. There are qualities in diesel that are low carbon chain, low cetane number, they have olefin content and clog injectors. Maybe you're confused, or maybe you would like to know what cetane number is. Ang cetane po sa diesel, this is a measure of the time gap in ignition delay from the time you inject the fuel to the time it combusts. If the time lag or the ignition delay is long, that means your cetane number is low. If the time lag or the ignition delay is short, that means your cetane number is high. So, yan po, these are some of the quality of the fuel. And what they produce are incomplete engine combustion. Hindi siya kompleto yung combustion because of these quality problems. And they produce air pollutants, carbon monoxide, hydrocarbon, particulate matter, and NOx, plus greenhouse gases. Now, these are the standard diesel combustion. But they're not so worried about this because they are not exhausted in the exhaust line. They go through an exhaust gas treatment, post-combustion devices consisting of 3 devices. One is the diesel oxidation catalyst, the other is diesel particulate filter, and the third is the selective catalytic reduction. All these are good because in the end, they are able to remove pollutants and they emit only CO2. All right? But the diesel oxidation catalyst is a post-combustion device designed to convert carbon monoxide and HC, or hydrocarbon, into CO2. That's why they produce CO2. All the rest, well, DPF filters out carbon soot, SCR reduces NOx. This is the exhaust gas treatment that are installed in the exhaust line of the diesel engine. You don't see that here in the Philippines. The jeepneys do not have that. But, bakit walang emission ang ating jeepney? Bakit malinis? Wala namang exhaust gas. Because our diesel in the Philippines are treated differently than the US. We don't have the exhaust gas treatment, but what we have is a pre-combustion diesel treatment with CME. So yung problema ng quality, they are treated with CME before combustion. So when they are combusted, they lose the long carbon chain, it will boost the cetane, it corrects the olefin effect and declogs the fuel injector. So what comes out is a complete engine combustion and clean exhaust emission. Now, the CME treatment is like providing 5 kinds of additives to the diesel. Ano yun? One is the solvency. CME has 75 kb, diesel is only 34. Kb stands for cowrie-butanol, which is the measure of solvency. If you're familiar with acetone, the solvency of acetone, acetone has 76 kb. So it has the same power in a way. And that power dilutes the hard-to-burn carbon and it declogs the fuel injectors. That's one additive value. The other is cetane number. Diesel has 48. This guy has 70. CME has 70. That's why it promotes good acceleration response. Malalaman nyo kung mababa ang cetane ninyo if you're driving a diesel and you try to accelerate, floor your accelerator, ayaw mag-respond agad yung diesel para mabagal siyang kumilos. That means you have a low cetane. But if you have a high cetane, isang apak nyo lang, aandar siya kaagad. The third is the oxygen content to 14%. Diesel has none. So the oxygen improves combustion. And the last is the viscosity, which improves the fuel spray atomization. So CME is a pre-treatment of diesel, which provides something like 5 additive value to our diesel. Now, ito, mga example na lang what it does. Itong carbon chain na ito sa taas, each one has a corresponding boiling point. Hindi ko na nailagay dyan yung mga boiling point. But as you can see, the long carbon chain that causes the incomplete combustion, they are diluted by the medium carbon chain, MCFA, of CME. And then, well, the picture will speak for itself. You can see this vehicle went to an emission testing center. It was emitting black smoke. Before the treatment of 5% CME, it registered an opacity reading of 10.606 K. After 21 minutes, they were running it, the measurement went down to 0.44. 0.44. That's a lot of reduction. Here, CME cures the carbon deposition and PM particulate matter emission. The picture will show very heavy deposition sa pure diesel. And then a lot of reduction with 2% CME and almost total reduction sa 5% CME. B5. 5% is B5. Actually, we are still at B2 today since 2009. 2009 B2, B2 pa rin tayo. Indonesia, the new president of Indonesia is pushing for B50 in Indonesia. Malaysia is B20, Thailand is B7, Vietnam is B5, and we're still B2. But there's good news. DOE will increase the blend to 3% next year. This year, it's October. And then 4% next year, and then 5% in 2026. So we'll get there. And then here it shows the test done by the US DOE, US NREL, showing that unsaturated biodiesel, which are basically all the different plant oils in UK, in Europe and US, because they all have high unsaturated component. Rapeseed, soybean has 84% unsaturated component. Rapeseed has 94% unsaturated. So it shows here that this unsaturated component increase NOx emission, but the saturated sample is CME, reduces NOx emission. Lahat itong pinakikita ko meron tested. And then here, CME cures air pollution and greenhouse gases. Makita naman sa litrato what they do, particulate matter and carbon monoxide, they produce air pollution. NOx, HC, and PM, they produce smog. By the way, nung in-implement po yung biodiesel natin, coming down from Antipolo, looking at Metro Manila, you will see this before CME. After the CME, wala na ito. It was clear. Then you have the greenhouse gases. Well, SOx, NOx, and O2 are acid rain. Then the greenhouse gases, which promote climate change, and the climate change results in catastrophic events occurring in many parts of the world. Now, the feedstock concern on GME, let's say it's a B5 cocoa biodiesel, the demand will be 13.5 billion liters. That will be 676 million liters for B5, or a coconut requirement of 4.6 billion nuts. Now, the global demand for coconut oil is foreseen to become huge, not just for food and various products, but also for industrial application. There will be great demand for plant oil, including coconut, for aviation fuel called SAF, since the global aviation industry announced that they will use 87% of organic jet fuel by 2050. Then there is the impact of the new EUDR ruling in Europe. EUDR means EU Deforestation Regulation. Simply put, no seed oil and or other products can be exported to Europe if it was planted from or came from a deforested land. EU apparently is pro-coconut because they know coconut grows only in salty soil, especially along seashores. And they know it will not grow in deforested land because there are no salt or very little salt in deforested land. Hopefully, each governor of our coconut growing provinces will allocate several hectares of land in his province as seedling farm to grow high-yield coconut variety. It takes only 1 year to grow the seedlings of high-yield variety, then 4 years for it to mature. If done now, the Philippines will have plenty of coconut feedstock by the year 2030 and onwards. I have stated high yield variety because the old variety yields only about 600 liters of oil per hectare per year, while the high yield variety yields over 3,000 liters of oil per hectare per year. With that, I hope at least I have been able to impart the more important part why CME is very good for the Philippines and the world. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Engineer Diaz. Bigyan naman po natin ng Coco Clap. Sila Engineer Tagaktak and Engineer Diaz. Right, that was so insightful. Moving forward, our next speaker is an engineer, scientist, ethnobotanist, and environmentalist. He has been tapped as a DOST Picard Balik scientist assigned at VSU from April to August 2019, working on bamboo engineering, renewable energy, and value-added products. And currently at Philippine Coconut Authority Zamboanga Research Center as technical consultant and visiting scientist, working mainly on expansion of coconut biodiesel or biokerosene production, distilled spirits from cocoa sap and water, improved biochar processing to produce also wood vinegar and syngas from any parts of the coconut, soap and candle production from coconut oil, improved copra and desiccated coconut dryers, and value-added product development such as cocoa leather, MCT, nursery, grade peat, glycerin purification, candles, soap, fuel gel, and many more. He has 44 years experience in agricultural and biosystem engineering, 35 years hands-on experience in biofuels research, development, production, utilization, and evaluation, and over 44 years in renewable sources of energy like biodiesel, biogas or biomass, solar, wind, and hydro. 14 years in native plant propagation and restoration, to include ethnobotany. He is an internationally known expert in biodiesel, and he was part of the pioneering research team at the University of Idaho to develop, implement, and advocate biodiesel production and utilization worldwide. He had been making and utilizing biodiesel since 1989. And today, he will talk about the topic, coconut, palm of energy. Let us welcome Dr. Rico O. Cruz.
Good afternoon, everybody. As a background, I grew up in a little island in Bohol, and then my father has only about 1 hectare of land, and there were 9 kids. So our source of income was just the 1 hectare of coconut, and then also fishing. So and then I had an opportunity to do my schooling in at the Visayas State University, in which we were pioneer agricultural engineers. And then a year after graduation, I was sent to England to do masters in agricultural engineering. And then when I came back in 1983, 6 months later, I was sent to the United States at the University of Idaho. And then I had, that's where, when I graduated in 1990, I was tapped to do postdoctoral work in developing fatty acid of alcohol esters. So basically, I was the key player in developing the fatty acid of alcohol esters. So I included Jerry Byron because most of my, about 30 years of my experience is on any triglycerides. So either it's a canola actually is a rapeseed. The canola is an acronym for Canadian oil low acid, but it's a rapeseed or mustard. So, and then I have produced different kinds of biodiesel, from animal fats to different kinds of vegetable oil, sunflower, jatropha, castor, and then on the fish side, salmon, and then sardines, oil from sardines, then the used cooking oil, which basically is my, most of my work was on rapeseed and then also used cooking oil. And Jerry Bailon was doing the one here at Zamboanga Research Center for 7 years, and then right now the 2 years, and because there's no funding for coconut, he was trying to find some funds to continue our biodiesel project. So these are the ethnobotanical uses of coconut. Ethnobotanical uses means for food, for feds, for beverages, for medicines, drugs, pharmaceuticals, then for fiber, construction material, and then for dye or preservatives and the others. So actually, the Philippine Coconut Authority has decided they have 1,001 uses. As an ethnobotanist, I have 2,000 uses. But yesterday, Dr. Asil said that I haven't seen the serum. So my uses now is 2,002 uses. And so for energy, we have the engine fuel for cooking, for heating, and lighting, and then that's for the others. Then ceremony, there's some rituals, especially in the South Pacific. They're using it for rituals, and then I've been influenced by working with the Native American tribes in the U.S. for over 3 decades. So most of me, some of the things that I would like to say was influenced by them. So erosion control, biolags, and tackifiers. Because I was doing native plant propagation, I had 2 big greenhouses that produces almost a million seedlings. But I've been using the pit that I buy. I put 30% in my growing media, and in 2012, I was buying the cocoa, 1 kilo of cocoa weight was 1,500 pesos. And here, it was only 1 to 3 pesos per kilo. So they charged me to go and get to find a supplier. So they asked me to get a supplier for 1,000 tons per month. So I get some samples here in 2011. I brought the samples to the US, but of the 3 samples, nothing passed their standard. So it would have been a good thing for the cocoa pit because it's just wasted. So and then for remediation, for filtration, for surfactants, for biodegradation, and then actually I have some studies in the 90s that we were using it for oil spill mitigation. We were using it for oil spill mitigation because once you mix biodiesel or glycerin with the with the petroleum diesel, it's miscible and it oxygenates the fuel. So it's either, and it became the feeds of fish. And then there's a lot of for tools like, yeah. Actually, I had two Western hats that's made of coconut sheath ginit. So, because I'm influenced by the tribes, they talk about the three food S. That is actually coconut to me is the number one crop that can provide all those. Second crop would be the industrial hemp, and the third crop would be the bamboo. Except for the industrial hemp because they don't want to be either because of the cannabis name. They don't want it, so, but for, we always use this three food as food security means access to a sufficient quantity of affordable and nutritious food. While food sustainability, it's enables that delivers sufficient quantity and then in such a way that the economic, social, and environmental basis to generate the food supply for future generations. With the Native Americans, it's 7 generations. So, it. And then for food sovereignty, it's a food system in which the people that produce, distribute, and consume food are not influenced by anybody. You have the right to what you ever want, and then you cannot force people, like, for example, our Muslim brothers, you cannot force them to eat pork. That's food sovereignty. And then it should be culturally centered on foods and practices. So going back on the, as an emphasis on the fuel, as an energy or fuel, actually all parts are lignocellulosic. That means you can produce charcoal and then briquettes, candles, and it's used in cooking, lighting, and drying. Meaning all parts, in Bisaya, palwa, lukay, bunot, all the roots, everything. The sawdust you can use in a solid form and convert it into briquettes, into biochar, and then in the production of biochar, there's 2 other products. That is the synthetic gas and then the nitrogen, the synthetic gas and then the wood vinegar. And then in pyrolysis and gasification, you have the synthetic wood gas, also biochar and wood vinegar, distillate and hydrogenated gas from oil or esters or glycerin. Actually, glycerin can be converted into gas too. And then methane from the decomposition of organic material or organic parts of the coconut. It's used in cooking, lighting, drying, heating, and engines. So actually we have utilized synthetic gas or wood gas in some of the tractors there in the US. And then in the liquid form, we got the neat oil or crude, used cooking oil. The only problem with the neat oil is that you have to modify the engine. While the biodiesel, which is a fatty acid of alcohol esters, and then biokerosene, you don't need to, and then the biodiesel and ethanol, and then biogasoline. Actually, the medium chain triglycerides or medium chain fatty acid, because they are 12 carbons, it can be converted into biogasoline. And in the early 90s, I've been trying to fractionate the medium chain fatty esters. And then you can also use in engines, cooking, lighting, and drying. And then the fourth one is a combination of liquid and solid. So where you can use fuel gel, which is made of vinegar and ethanol, all from coconut. The only other product would be the eggshell or the limestone. And then I have also developed shoe shine, a gel shoe shine, and then also for floor mopping. All comes from coconut. I'm just telling you about the fossil fuel tower. The organic material, it takes about 40 to 500 million, 300 million years to become into a crude oil. And then it goes, it's processed asphalt, back oil, cylinder, stock, engine, diesel, kerosene, naphthas, and then gasoline. That's how, I mean, and then I'm showing you the perspective. Organic matter, 480 million months, it becomes a crude oil, then it goes into process, it takes about 100 to 500 days to produce the petroleum fuel. While the renewable fuels, whether it's animal fat or vegetable oil, it takes only 3 to 60 months. For algae, it's only about 3 months. And then using simple equipment, in 1 to 7 days, you will have already the biofuels. Here's an example of the refineries, the fossil fuel refineries. It takes trillions of pesos. And then this is my first, the NISPERS processor, and then actually my home processor too. It's not that much. And then most of the overseas processor that I helped install is just a few $1,000. And then I have my secret weapon, which I call BOL and BAS. And then it costs only between $20 or 20 pesos to about 1,000 pesos. It depends upon the sophistication. For the Bisaya, BOL means balde o luwag. And then for BAS means barel at sagwan. So here's the life cycle analysis. In order to produce, if you use one input of energy for the gasoline, you produce only half gasoline. Then for diesel, for everyone, you use 2/3. But for biodiesel, for everyone, you'll produce to 2.5 to 7 units. For coconut, it is around 7 because there's no more mechanization. And then for used cooking oil, it's around 7 too, for used cooking. The 2.5 is for the soybean, for the rapeseed, and for some other stuff. So here's just simple definitions. Biodiesel means alcohol or alkali ester from vegetable oil or animal fats. And then the fatty acid of alcohol. Then biofuels is from such as ethanol, methanol, and triglycerides or fatty acid. It's the main component of fats and oils. And then the glycerol, which is the colorless, odorless, sweet-tasting alcohol. Actually, it's a trihydric alcohol. So I'm showing you the background. So in 1893, Dr. Rudolf Diesel developed one prototype. And then in 1898, he exhibited it in Munich. And then using peanut oil, he put it in a world exhibition in Paris. And then in 1913, Dr. Diesel went to England to propose to convert English submarine to diesel engines, but he was assassinated by the French. And then his body was found 10 days later by a Belgian steamer called Corchin. In the 1910, petroleum industry utilized the gasoline. And then in 1937, scientist from Belgium, Gilles Chavan. He developed the ethyl ester from peanut oil. In fact, he used it in a passenger bus from Brussels to Louvain. In 1979, the University of Idaho, I was still not there, they started vegetable oil as a fuel research. And then in 1987, they developed FAME, or fatty acid of methyl ester. And then because of my postdoctoral work, I developed the ethyl ester process. And then that was the date then of cruise esterification. Trans and cruise is the same, so I just use my name as cruise esterification. And then in 1991, because I was the one that put the signs, that powered all the engines there, all the vehicles there, fatty acid alcohol ester is too long. So I suggested biodiesel. And they accepted it, and ever since, the name biodiesel was, so I was actually the one who termed biodiesel. In 1995, I started the NEMO and piloting of coconut biodiesel at Zamboanga Research Center per request from the United Nations and the Department of Foreign Affairs. So I was there for 7 weeks, and then we installed, at that time we were still just using the bus, the barrel and at Saguan. And then in 1995 to 1996, as a volunteer work for the tribe that I was working, I was using waste cooking oil. And then in 1993 and 1996 too, I introduced, because I was tapped to help volunteer work in expelling vegetable oil from sunflower. So I also introduced the process in Uganda. And then in 2000, I introduced the process in Azerbaijan and Russia. And then I introduced some other tribes of doing it. And then in 2001, we have a company that used cooking oil. I helped them build it. It was called Green Energy, LLC. And then in 2002, I assisted in the expansion of biodiesel production in Bulgaria. In 2003, I introduced process in Paraguay using jatropha, castor bean, a native coconut. They call it native coconut, but it looks exactly like coconut, but the fruits are like palm. And it is very thorny. It has thorns all over the place. But it was, we can make it because there was a lot of oil. And then we also have in India, it was mainly for jatropha, but when I arrived there, it was not true that they have jatropha. There was only a little bit. So I said, because I'm here, we're just gonna continue using used cooking oil. And then I conducted some other stuff. I submitted some more proposals to expand the production. But I would just like to tell you that my advocacy is make and use your own fuel. I'm against make and sell your fuel. Mine is make and use your own fuel, not make and sell. So in 2006 and 2008, along with the Bulgarian scientists, we developed the purification of crude glycerin into 99 to 100% purity, so that it can be used in food industries like chocolates and some pharmaceuticals. And then actually, why the wine is shiny, glossy, because there's 1% glycerin in it. So in 1995 to 2018, I have an annual visit of at least once just to promote the make and use your own fuel. So in 2019, I was tapped as a balik scientist at the Visayas State University on bamboo engineering and renewable energy. And then in 2022, in fact, the owners of Kimes Food International, they said, we have a VCO that's rejected and it's called Class C because they are an organic product. So, okay, I'll convert it into biodiesel, and then we converted it, and in just 4 days, they finished the 1,000 liters because they use 100% on their trucks and their vehicles. And then in 2023 and 2024, we started to do mass production of coconut methyl ester at the Zamboanga Research Center to fuel 100% on vehicles, generators, and processing machine. We are, so far as of August 15, we have produced and utilized over 1,200 liters of coconut biodiesel. And here's just a simple view of the esterification process. You need 1 triglyceride, you need 3 alcohol, you produce 3 esters, which is the biodiesel, and then 1 glycerol. That's the traditional esterification. The use is heat. But in mine, I remove heat. Sa Bisaya pa, hurim-hurim lang. Actually, there's a secret in the production. And then here it is, and 1 triglyceride, 3 methyl esters, and then what happened? It's the cut and then the join. So that's the simplest way to do. And then here's the glycerol or the glycerin, and that's the diesel. And then here's that typical triglyceride, and then that's the biodiesel or alcohol, which is very similar to the diesel. It's only oxygenated. There's 2 oxygen. This is carbon-14, which is the myristic fatty acid. So that's why it was called biodiesel, because it's physically and chemically similar to fission diesel. Its main source are triglycerides, and then an alcohol, and then it can produce in less than 3 months. It's at least 40 million years for fossil fuel. It's biodegradable. It becomes bacteria food because of the oxygen, and it degrades in less than 1 month, while diesel fuel is about 100 years. It's environmental friendly. It's least smog. It smells like barbecue and popcorn. And then there's no sulfur or lead. It's non-acidic, so there's no acid rain because there's no sulfur. And then actually the average reductions in the emissions for the gases and particulates is around 60% reduction that of diesel. It's safer to use because it doesn't cause instant fire. And then there's no engine modification. So a lot of my vehicles that are diesel, there was no engine modification. And it's miscible. So you can mix any percentage from 1% to 99% or 100% full. So here's these are based on several studies, not only at the University of Idaho, but also some neighboring universities which were follow us. For CO2, the net would be 70 to 100%. 70 if it's only plant-based, but if it's animal-based, 70 if it's animal-based, and then 100% for the plants because the plants needs carbon dioxide to grow. And then that's why people said, why are you talking to your plants? It's because the carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the plants. So that's why the plants that you talk to every day would grow and bear fruits. That's the scientific explanation for that. And then there's 100% there's 100% because there's no sulfur added, because there's no, so you don't have acid rain. Then for the soot and particulates, the opacity, it's 40 to 60%. And then the carbon monoxide and the hydrocarbons, 10 to 50%. It depends on the, and then the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, the phenanthrene, 97% reduction, benzofluorantine, 56% reduction, benzopyrene, 71% reduction, aldehydes and aromatic compounds, 13%. However, on the NOx, it's plus and minus. It depends on the engine age, design, and tuning. So we had some negative 9%, but we have also some about 10%. So it depends. It also depends on the type of fatty acid. So I think for coconut, it might be as what that Rafi had shown you, that the coconut was below. So these are all my utilization for lamps and oil, for lanterns, for heaters, as solvents, as lubricants, and biodegradation enhancer, oil spill remediation, emissions reducers. Oh, there were some, back in the early 2000, some people asked, can you give us a liter or two for to be put in their engine? And then their purpose was to pass the emissions test. That's what they did. And then I produced a lot of ointment, and then as an engine parts cleaner. And then for the lot of vehicles there, that's in the US, different kinds, and then for the work trucks, fire, semis, bulldozers, and then the off-road four-wheelers, tractors, generators, and the others, race cars. Here's my first biodiesel truck. It had run 100% on used cooking oil biodiesel. It has run over 160,000 kilometers. That was a Dodge. And then later on, I changed it to the Chevrolet Suburban. It has run over 60,000 kilometers. And then my first Mercedes-Benz, it only ran 20,000 kilometers. And from the University of Idaho, we've been using over 100 different kinds of engine, including vehicles, tractors, and generators. And they are still doing it now, but we are doing the canola, or the edible rapeseed, because it has very low in erucic acid, and the meal from the rapeseed is very valuable, twice as much as the soybean. And here's the one in Bulgaria. I think this was in 2002, and they have demonstrated. And then there's the big trucks that they used. And then here, that's a wrong figure there. I had used it I had a pump boat for fishing that plies between Masin and the island in President Garcia, Bohol. And then, but some other passenger vehicles, passenger boats have also utilized, but the one that was using was 100%. And this is my current, I have 5 current vehicles. That's not one. That's, it used to be Mercedes-Benz, but I got that biodiesel bag. It's a 2005. It has run now over 400,000 kilometers. And then my Mercedes-Benz has run 100. It's not it's a wrong figure. And then here's my newest one, 2000 Chevrolet. It has run so far 130,000 kilometers, but I'm using B20 to B100 because I have 5 vehicles that run, and I only process 100 liters per week from used cooking oil. And there's the big motorhome. I use B20 to B50. And then the Polaris, I use, the diesel Polaris, I use 50 to 100%. It has run only 10,000 kilometers. And here's some of the vehicles that I've been involved with or consulted with, not just me, but also the University of Idaho when I was still working there. And here's some of the other boats that utilizes it. Some of them were our trainees because we were providing a lot of training on biodiesel production in the late 1990s. And then in 2018, there were several airlines that had been using between B20 to B100. There was nobody that was using coconut at that time, but they were using palm, used cooking oil, and soybean and canola. But recently, 10 years ago, the US Navy had been utilizing almost 100% in their planes, in their big boats, because they have lots of land. So the Department of Navy has been using biodiesel from camelina. It's a false flax. And I tried to make my biogasoline, and but my problem is you have to adjust always the carburetor. So, but I have utilized them in my chainsaws because I usually gather wood in the forest for heating in our house. And here's just an example. You might notice why gasoline was burning. It was not, but there's a secret how to burn a gasoline. You just add 20% water and you can burn gasoline, just like the other. And here's my home heating, and then my shop heating in the shop, because winter time. Actually, in our area, we have snow in the ground for 7 months. And then for oil lamp, and then for lantern, especially when I go camping and hunting. And so, what I really wanted to emphasize with my work here is that it's the village processing, because actually, we cannot afford to use more than 10% of the yield, because it would create imbalance for the food, for the pharmaceuticals. So you are only, and we've proven this in the US, although they have lots of land, but a lot of the processors could only utilize their yield, the 10% for fuel purposes. So here's the one that we've been doing now at the Zamboanga Research Center. That's the whole nut processing, and that's what I would like to propose to do, because the other requirement for processing is that your feedstock must be within 50 kilometers diameter. If you go beyond that, then there's a lot of problems, because your transportation cost, everything. And then the village level too, because it's a small machine, and then you have a lot of feedstock, you have an increase of feedstock, for example, the yield has doubled or tripled, then you just be modular. You just buy another unit to do the processing. And that's what we do at the Zamboanga Research Center. Cupra, they're doing Cupra at Zamboanga Research Center, and I only process 10%. 90% is being sold to the miller. I only process 10%. Then it goes into granulation, recondition, because when Cupra is already 9% moisture content, and if it's not processed immediately, the equilibrium moisture content is 14, so it absorbs water from the air, then it becomes 14% again. So that's why we need to recondition by drying between 1 to 2 hours, and then we expel. we settle it, and then we produce into the coconut methyl ester or biodiesel. And we are cold expelling so that we can retain all the nutrients, all the compounds, all the amino acids in the meal. So that's what we do, and then that's how the crude CNO processing to CME biodiesel. And then this is how simple it is. Alcohol plus catalyst. Then you mixed. I usually, if it's a small one, if it's only 5 to 10 liters, I only mix it for 10 minutes. But if it's over that, then I go for 30 minutes. Actually, the biodiesel is ready to use after 6 hours when you remove the crude glycerol. And then, but for lighting and cooking, you can use it immediately. Here's our 1995 reactor. And until now, we're still using it. That's the 1995. And here's our additional reactor, which just this year. We have now the big tank. It can do 150 to 750 liters biodiesel batch, but our problem is the supply of the feedstock. But you can do 6 times. So 6 times 750, you can easily do 4.5, 4,500 liters. And then here's the simple tub, baldi lang og luwag. It can do 15 and 18, 80 liters. And then here's a smaller one. This one can do 5 to 12 liters. And we are just using, we're using a drill with a stirrer to do that. This is our demo, because almost every day we have a visitor, so we have to show them, or we have training. So that's what we do. So at GRC, this is what we did in 1995. And then we used 2-oil simplex press from Vergara Agromachiners. That's the best local expeller. I have tested over 100 expeller, and that's the only one that passes here in the Philippines. And the other that passes our testing is in Germany, Japan, England, and now the US. Nothing from Taiwan, India, and China passes our rigorous test of the expeller. Usually their worm lasts only less than 3 months. And that's the important part, the screw. So, and then, but the ones it could last for 3 years, the one from other. And then Vergara is still working now. I mean, we're still using it. And then in 1995 to 2002, GRC has produced, I think, several thousand liters, and then it has run to 100,000 kilometers on a 40 to 100% CME. The 40% was the initial one, but about 5 months later, the increase to 100% as their demo. It came here from Zamboanga to Metro Manila 7 times on those 1995 to 2002. But since the Jerry by loan was assigned to Cotabato, and then the chemical engineer that I also trained has moved to New Zealand, so it stopped. And then so in last year, we have done again, and I think we had about 14,000 liters that had been produced. And it is 5 tractors, 4 trucks, and 2 pickups. It's 2023, not 2024. And it's all fueled with 100%. And then the processing machines. And then we successfully produced ethanol from the coconut water from copra, plus the hostorium, the coconut apple. And then we could produce we have produced maybe about 100 liters now of 95% ethanol, and then I run it into a molecular sieve or geolite, and I could produce 100%, 97 to 100% purity of our ethanol. That's what we use for our biokerosene, and also for blend in gasoline engines. We plan to do up to E85, 85% alcohol, 15% gasoline. And then we have the production of coconut candles. And then I suggested modification to the existing cocoa dryers. And then that also the other dryers, if you're gonna use solar generator instead of solar panels, and then different kinds of protocol of drying, my calculation is I can do it to 10 hours drying. Then I have produced fuel gel. I'm just using the eggshells and then vinegar and alcohol. And then for some other, the coconut oil still, I've been producing coconut oil, all materials from coconut. The oil, the alcohol, the catalyst. The catalyst is potassium hydroxide, so you can get it mostly from the leaves. You just burn it, and then the ashes would produce 3 compounds: potassium hydroxide, potassium carbonate, and silica. I don't have the process yet of how to separate the potassium hydroxide. So what I do is I put a lot of potassium hydroxide in my process. And then I have tried already semi test, and that's successful. And then but I wanted to go into A85. And then we have provided trainings on billet processing of CNO and CMA through Filmic. We have conducted already 5. Last year we have conducted 5 TOTs, training of trainers, on the CNO and CME production. And currently we have collaborated with Zamboanga Medical Center because they're producing about 100 liters of used cooking oil per month, and we converted it into biodiesel to be used in their vehicle. Here's the 1995. That's the 1995. They have a shot there at the bridge between Leyte and Samar. And then here's the current, it's almost the same. It's B100 since April, and it has accumulated already 10,000 kilometers. And the one I noticed was that before the biodiesel, it only runs 7.5 kilometers per liter. But for long distance, I was able to do 14 kilometers per liter. And right now, the average is about 10 kilometers per liter. So there was a big increase on the fuel efficiency. It's because it's oxygenated. The fuel is oxygenated, so there's complete combustion. So there's no smoke. And here's some of the tractors and some of the canter. But there's 5 of them like that, I fuel 100%. Yeah, those tractors are on different operations. And here's the Zamboanga, the ambulance. It runs between 5 to 20% because they are only producing, they have been contacting Jollibee in Zamboanga City, that they can donate actually, for Zamboanga, we are producing it for 16 pesos per liter. And here's some of the shredder and the decorticator that we run 100% biodiesel that Engineer Tagaktak showed earlier. And here's some of the testing that we had. And just 3 weeks ago, when I came from the US, I brought my camping stove, which is kerosene, but we're using it biokerosene. And we tried cooking, and then Jerry Bailon said, you should cook galunggong, and then when you open it up, it would be lapu-lapu. And we're producing scented candles, and then some of the candles, I wish we could do later this year training on the cooperatives on how to make the candles from coconut. Right there, that's a diesel, the lamp. The leftmost is a diesel. That's the next one is 50%. The next one is biodiesel, and the next one is biokerosene. So our biokerosene is only right now we settled on 80% biodiesel, 20% ethanol, all coconut. So it's all coconut. So that's our biokerosene right now. And here's just my biodiesel. I've been using them since early 1990s when I have some clients from the farmers and from overseas. And I use it on our production at Zamboanga Research Center. Here's my assumptions. Methanol at 50 pesos per liter, then catalyst at 112 pesos per liter. This is the existing prices that we have. We have not yet sold our meal. I have now 10 tons of meal, but we have not sold it yet. And then alternative, any oil. And I'll show you how this is just an example. For copra at 32 pesos per kilogram with equipment and facility, we were produced 35 pesos per liter. And then for the CMA, we were able to use 42 pesos. And then it depends on the price. And then for the crude CNO at 30 pesos per liter, you can produce CMA for 28 liters. The reason it goes down because you have credits for the meal and for the glycerin. For the above. And then for RBD, there was 2,000 liters that the very old 2,000 liters that was for CSI control, the coconut scale insects. He bought it for 90 pesos per liter, so it was 92 pesos per liter. And then for used cooking oil at 20 pesos per liter, you can produce 17. But if it's free, then it's only I made it into 16 pesos. And here's why the implications of village level. It's sustainable, it's secured, and there's cultural sovereignty on your food production. And then some of the families in the rural areas didn't need to go on bigger areas for employment because they can make soap, they can make a lot of byproducts. And then there would be additional income for villagers and nearby folks by the production of soap, production of candles, production, and then there's less dependence on foreign fuels. So here's my undertakings there. There's cocoa sap and cocoa water for custodian permit, they're double. And then there's the improvement of post-harvest operations on the cocum dryers, solar dryers. And then we had already provided technology transfer of integrated coconut processing to participants from PELMEC, from ETI, from DTI, from LGUs, CDE as part of CFI-DP biofuel. And then we are also partnering with the Zamboanga City Medical Center to utilize their used cooking oil for their ambulance and then soon for their generators. And then we have that crude CNO production and biodiesel production. We have already produced 4,000 liters because I'm only using 10% of their copra. And then 12,000 biodiesel and biokerosene that's been utilized. And then the value-added products, I'm still working on the medium-chain triglyceride or medium chain fatty acid, and then the soap, the candles, the cocoa leather, the potassium hydroxide, the biosponge, the fuel gel, the tackifier, and then the biocontrol surfactants for the coconut scale insects because Zamboanga has been devastated, plus the 7 months of El Nino. And then I have also produced to shine my shoes, and then wood preservative. So some of the new buildings that we made of coconut lumber, I concocted wood preservative, and then next would be for floor areas to make it shiny. So that's and then the mentorship we have already students of various universities and senior high schools. I think we have almost 100 OGTs and on our research activities to mentor them so that they will be more inclined. In fact, my assistant now was an OGT because my assistant went with her husband who has been separated for 2 years because her husband is the regional manager in Region 6, so it's so I told her that we will just hire one of the OGT to replace you. So right now my assistant was a former OGT and I would like to hire more, but there's no money because Jerry Bailon is so creative. He was able to find money to hire six workers at the Biomass and Biofuels Laboratory. And so thank you. And if you need to contact us, contact Jerry Bailon because I'm going back to the US October 2, but we will be, if I'm not going to Ukraine in November, I'll be back again for a month. So if you want to I encourage you to visit Zamboanga Research Center so that you can appreciate how those activities are done. And there's also some post-harvest machineries. You can go there and if you want some training, we are open to do technology transfer on a lot of the activities that we do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cruz. Bigyan naman po natin si Dr. Cruz ng Coco Clap! Alright, maraming salamat po. Again, please scan the QR code shown on screen or the one on your respective tables if you have questions for Dr. Cruz. Moving forward to our last speaker for today, he is the president of Premium AC of the Premium AC Corporation, a leading manufacturer of activated carbon products, is a seasoned professional with extensive experience in the industry. He also serves as the president of the Philippine Activated Carbon Manufacturers Association and holds the position of vice president at Martson's Food Corporation. Additionally, he is a board member of the Christian Colleges of Southeast Asia. At 68 years old, he is married to Jonah Ang and is proud father to 3 grown children and a grandfather to 1 grandson. He holds the title of Professional Electrical Engineer in Canada and earned his Bachelor of Applied Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. His leadership and expertise continue to drive innovation and quality in the coconut-based activated carbon industry. And today, he will talk about the importance of activated carbon in our daily lives. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Mr. Isidro T. Ang.
Hello. Kudyawan ni mo, oy, Dr. Cruz, ang imong gibuhat. Anyway, thank you for this chance to present my message. We are PACMA, Philippine Activated Carbon Manufacturers Association. We have 9 members. There's 5 in Davao area, 2 in Cagayan de Oro, 1 in Leyte, and 1 in Laguna. We are meeting every month to discuss the common interests and common challenges in our industry. We applaud the planting of 100 million coconut trees by President Bongbong Marcos. As you know, in the industry, the coconut industry, we always compete for the coconuts being grown and being produced. As the saying goes, rising tide floats all boats. So, hopefully, with 100 million new trees, we can have enough raw material for our sectors, all the sectors in the coconut industries. 100 million trees, seedlings is good. I think 200 million would be better. Also, we acknowledge and we appreciate what President Bongbong Marcos' father did, sign into law the banning of export of matured coconut because of the importance of coconut industry in our country. There was a time, I think, before the pandemic, that there were moves by government workers or officials trying to remove or use executive order to remove the ban of export of whole coconut. We are glad that it did not succeed. Activated carbon is a form of carbon that has been processed to make extremely porous and thus have a very large surface area available for absorption. This porous structure is analogous to microscopic sponge. Activated carbon is produced using kilns to steam activate and also opening of the pores in the charcoal. Charcoal is our raw material. Based on PSA data, activated carbon is a 6 billion peso industry in the Philippines and ranks number 12 in agricultural dollar earnings for our country. The uses of activated carbon. It is used for water filtration. It removes harmful chemicals, bad taste, and odors from drinking water. It is used also for purifying of cooking oil, such as the coconut oil being produced here in the Philippines. It removes the unwanted colors, odors, flavors, and making it safe for human consumption. Activated carbon is also used as a catalyst in petroleum refining processes to remove impurities and increase the quality of final products. If you can see in the picture, there are towers in the refineries. The solvent that are captured utilizes the activated carbon for the solvent such as benzene and other petrochemical products. Activated carbon is used to clean exhaust air from industry, removing harmful pollutants and chemicals before they're released into the atmosphere. It is also used in gold refining. Activated carbon is used to reduce the volume of the cyanide solution that is being utilized to dissolve gold. The gold-laden cyanide solution is then reversed, is then extracted by reversal or using electrolysis. Activated carbon is used in high-performance EV and hybrid batteries. Just to let you know, activated carbon used as battery is called supercapacitor. Because of the high density of porosity in activated carbon, charges are stored in these pores. Therefore, it's using mechanical charge storage instead of a chemical storage, or it is instantaneous or very quick charge and has no deterioration after many cycles of charging. I like to talk about the problems we are facing in the activated carbon industry. The first and foremost is the lack of raw material. Activated carbon industry is now facing a challenge with lack of raw material. Coconut shell charcoal, which is essential for the production of activated carbon. The lack of raw material is affecting the industry's ability to meet the demand and is a significant obstacle to growth. When we were in elementary school, our mother would tell us kids to do well in school, study hard, or else you'll end up selling uling on the street. Uh, that was common in the mid 60s. However, charcoal in my time now is very important, and it is no longer a dirty material. Activated carbon exports based on PSA DTI data have not increased over the years, primarily due to a shortage of raw materials. And all of the activated carbon plants here in the Philippines are at 40 to 60% capacity because of the lack of charcoal. And the question is, why is there a shortage of raw material? The coconut shell charcoal is lacking because we face significant, because we are now facing competition from significant quantities being exported and to produce activated carbon abroad, such as China and Japan. And this limits us to our growth and also the loss of competitive advantage of the locally produced activated carbon. Charcoal exports in the Philippines, based on PSA DTI data, have increased. There's charcoal. Yet, activated carbon exports have not seen a similar rise. The bar chart shows the increase of export of charcoal. Based on the PSA data in 2023, the country exported 118,534 metric tons of low-value coconut shell charcoal. If it were made into activated carbon, it would have generated more US dollar earnings, more jobs, more businesses that would benefit from the value-adding activity. In terms of volume, charcoal exports are high, but in value, activated carbon leads. The value-added potentials in the Philippines was not maximized. And the value chain of exporting unprocessed charcoal is shorter, which is detrimental to the job creation or job availability for Filipinos. In the bar chart on the right, you have the bar in color orange is less, but activated carbon is even less. Support to the activated carbon industry. We would like PCA to spearhead the creation and strengthening of more coconut farmers cooperatives. I was very glad to be able to talk to Sir Ray Elivaso of CDA, Cooperative Development Authority, so we can work with CDA on connecting with possible coconut farmers in the forming of co-ops. We would, in the cooperatives, we would help farmers and their cooperatives to transition from conventional drum methods to smokeless, transition into smokeless charcoal production to promote the green and healthy charcoaling, leverage economies of scale, and achieve better carbonization recovery, which leads to increasing the income of the farmers. The ever-present and irritating white smoke from the charcoaling process that is being done in the conventional drum type method is combusted to produce enough heat. Instead of using the conventional drum method, we would use smokeless charcoal pit type charcoaling, as you can see on the pictures on your right. On your left, you see the ever-present white smoke. And because of the white smoke, you can only make charcoal using this method away from populated or inhabited areas. Whereas the smokeless charcoal production, on your right, the white smoke is being combusted into fuel for heating and also to dry the copra into white copras. This is our plea to the government to preserve coconut shell charcoal for PACMA members, to promote value addition, create more jobs for Filipinos, and sustainable income for the coconut farmers and farmer cooperatives, which boost local and national economy. We are urging the government to provide tax rebate to exports of value-added products such as activated carbon, similar to that of Indian rebate on duties and taxes exported product, or what they call RODTEP scheme. Secondly, we are hoping that the government will impose export tax for charcoal to encourage value adding within the country. Conclusion, activated carbon is an integral part of daily life for consumers, and especially for the farmers who are involved in charcoal production. It is indispensable, however, as previously stated, it faces major obstacles and problems that PACMA is seeking to address with the help of all stakeholders, especially our policymakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ang. Bigyan naman po natin ng Coco Clap si Mr. Ang. Ang hindi tumayo, sasayaw. Anyway, let's proceed. May we request you to occupy one of the seats here on stage for the next part of the program. May we also request the other resource persons, Engineers Tagaktak and Diaz and Dr. Cruz, from this afternoon session to please join Mr. Ang as well as Ms. Rosa Villaruel to moderate the panel discussion. For our audience, kindly send in your questions to our resource persons by scanning the QR code located on your respective tables. Thank you.
Okay. See.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ito na po tayo sa last part ng ating program. And I would like to express that I am so blessed sa presence ng mga resource speakers natin. Are you blessed too? Of course. Kasi marami tayong hinahanap for the coconut farmers and the farmers organization, and within 2 hours, narinig po natin napakadami. So, marami ang interested, marami ring tanong. Number 1 question, this is addressed to Engineer Clifford Tagaktak. Do you provide the building specifications for the machines and allow local fabricators to copy the design?
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you for the question. Now, since most of our machines is under IP application, so for the meantime, siguro inaano muna namin. Pero the ano talaga is after na magiging okay na lahat yung sa ano, and then actually yung technology naman namin is ready for ano naman talaga siya, for commercialization po.
Okay.
Thank you.
So next question, still for Engineer Tagaktak. When you say you have tried using biodiesel in the machine, what percentage of the fuel is from coconut?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, sa question. Actually, I missed to mention also actually we are using 100% biodiesel on the diesel engine na ginamit namin sa mga machine namin po. Yan po.
Okay. For Engineer Diaz, equal po ba ang lahat ng coconut varieties in the CME production capacity? Other experts may respond. Equal po ba ang lahat ng coconut varieties on the CME production? I think the one who questions here is referring to the different coconut varieties.
Well, lahat naman yan pwede mo esterify, no? The different coconut varieties. I don't think there's much difference when you esterify all of this, whether it is a long, tall variety or high yield variety. I think they will all produce the same amount or the same biodiesel. Only that maybe it will differ in terms of yield, but the same biodiesel.
Yes, Engineer Rico?
If the coconut varieties has lots of medium chain fatty acid, it's not significant, but it's lower in heat content because the more hydrocarbons you have, the more heating value you have. I mean, early in the 90s, I've been checking the heat content using a BAM calorimeter for all the different kinds of oil, including fish, including tallow, including pork, including chicken, including ducks. I mean, but it's if you have more of the, but it's not significant. So very little of as long as it's already made into an ester, then there's insignificant difference at all.
Okay, I think that answers the question. So,
Maybe I can also add a little bit. I forgot to mention that when it comes to coconut, kanina nga maraming nagsasabi, iba-iba ang interpretation of how much medium chain there is. Some say that there are 47% medium chain, others are 50%. So ito may mga impact rin yan sa yield. But basically, they will all produce biodiesel.
yes, definitely. Sa nakita natin kanina, from pork, jatropha, lahat ng klase ng oils. And Engineer Rico here is saying insignificant, lalo na kaya within the coconut varieties. So let's proceed. This is a question for Engineer Rico. Open po ba for copying yung coconut oil production mo for capable co-ops, yung iyong ALDE at
That was basically for co-ops or small, yeah. I mean, yeah, we can train you there and you can do, but my only suggestion is that don't go beyond 10% of your yield because you are competing with other, so you can use for fuel purposes not more than 10% of the yield. So what you can do is you can sell 90%, or you can sell the 90% of the oil and then convert not more than 10% of your yield. That's what I'm doing now in Zamboanga Research Center. The co-product, they make about 6,000 kilos per week. So I only process 600 kilograms. And that's the source of our fuel to run the vehicles and the processing machines.
Okay, that also leads to the next question. Do you suggest that the country shall only utilize 10% of the coconut supply in the country for CME fuel production to have a balanced economy, even if the government has just approved the higher biodiesel blend from 2% to 3% this year, from 3 to 4 next year, and from 4 to 5 the following year?
Doesn't matter how much you blend you put in, but what matters is the supply because it's gonna compete. It could create imbalance if you go 10%. In the U.S., actually, in order to get the demand, they are producing now about 11.7 billion liters from last year. So they have different sources, and it's soybean, corn, canola, industrial rape, and then sometimes camelina and used cooking oil. They haven't touched the fish oil because it commands more, I mean, if it's being sold in the pharmaceuticals because of the omega-6. So they left out the fish oil, but Beef tallow, they're doing that, but it's a little amount. But most of them is the actually I think the used cooking oil occupies about 25% because used cooking oil is considered hazardous and toxic for human consumption. Because what happened, the frequent cooling, heating, it produces olein and acrolein. And olein and acrolein, how much you refine it, it will stay on the molecules, and it's carcinogenic. That's why all the used cooking oil in the US is just being thrown away. Actually, they're put in a place, and then that's what I do. I mean, I used to gather from McDonald's in the late 80s to early 1992, but because they give me $20 to pick up their used cooking oil. But since we have trained already a lot of people, there's a lot of competition. So they were selling already the used cooking oil from McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and some of the fast food company. So my target is I go to the small restaurants. So what I do, I just go there, and then they usually put the used cooking oil in close to the garbage bin. Then I pick it up. So in return, I go and eat at the small restaurants. And even schools provide me the used cooking oil, but mostly I get it from the restaurants. Sometimes every 2 weeks because they are small restaurants. But I have right now, because I've been always here and I have been produced that much. I probably have about 10,000 liters of used cooking oil.
Yeah, thank you for the information. And I think we heard it right. Using used coconut oil, cooking oil, is not good for us because it's carcinogenic. Right?
Usually the value is, I mean, if you heating, cooling for 7 times, that's the time that they produce the olein and acrolein.
Ah, yeah, okay. So one time only.
No, you can do 3 times. Usually, I mean, most folks like the fast food in the US, they go only 3 times: the heating and the cooling, heating and the cooling.
Yeah, okay. Without limitation on the temperature.
No limitation as long as, I mean, you don't, because when you are deep frying is about 180, 190 degrees. So because if you go below that, the food will absorb the oil. So you have to go about 180, 190 degrees so that the oil is not being absorbed the food.
Yeah, thank you. So that's a very good information. I think we should remember that. The next questions go to Engineer Cruz. Kumusta po ang economics ng coconut biofuel versus fossil fuels? Asa ang mas barato? Which is cheaper? And then another related question, how can a biodiesel self-producer from coconuts ultimately make their products cost-effective compared to using traditional diesel fuel for cars or machineries? Let me continue, sir. How much is the estimated capitalization? Are there any legal or regulatory considerations that need to be addressed when producing biodiesel for personal use? Last question. What are the storage and handling requirements to ensure quality and efficacy levels of biodiesel from coconuts?
With my experience in the US using used cooking oil, since 1989, even when the diesel fuel was cheap at around 7 pesos per liter, and I was producing it to about 11 pesos per liter, I was still producing the biodiesel because I know of the environmental benefits that it takes. But right now, ever since because of the increase in the alcohol, I'm producing 13 pesos per liter. That's in the US. But in Zamboanga right now, because we produce the crude CNO, and at, for example, last week it was 35 pesos per liter, we produce it to 42 pesos per liter. So you compare 55 to 42, there's a 13 pesos difference. So since we've been using about 12, I think it's already 14,000, the center has saved over that. I mean, you multiply even just 10 pesos, so they have 120,000 just for that certain period for fuel purposes. And then in the States, as long as you don't sell, you don't have to worry all the regulations. It's the selling that you have to pass the standards. So that's why I always advocate make and use your own fuel, not make and sell the fuel.
Okay, did we hear it right? I think for the coconut farmers, we have two avenues to increase our income. Number one, if we sell, and then the second, if we reduce our expenses. Now, maybe for the farmers cooperative, they have to decide whether to make and use only,
The
or
10%.
make, use, and sell. Depende na po yun sa
They
kanilang
depend
business
because
plan.
there's so many standards. I mean, you got the PNS and then yeah. But we've been doing that in the US for over 30 years. So there's no problem because you're not selling it. It's just like, are you obliged when you cook pancit? Are you obliged to do the standard for making pancit? That's the same way.
Yes, correct, sir. Okay, thank you for that. And the next questions are for Mr. Ang. Nahihirapan po ba kayong makipag-compete sa price ng mga charcoal exporters? You have 3 questions here. Can I proceed or I'll take it one by one?
One by one.
Okay, thank you.
I'm very glad I'm being asked. The challenges we have as activated carbon manufacturers to compete with exporters is the exporters can buy cost plus, can sell their charcoal or export their charcoal cost plus, meaning if they buy it at 21 pesos, they would add their margin, and the mainly Chinese importers or the buyers would pay the exporter. So we cannot increase our price and be the same as the exporter because we have our set price to our customers. We cannot increase our prices to our customers because we have to compete with we have to compete in the world market, such as India, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and you told us that in India or Sri Lanka, they have these incentives for processors.
Yes, they have rebates for activated carbon exporters.
Yeah, okay, sir. Then maybe that would be one aspect for policy for us in the Philippines. So next question. In our country, would it be coconut that is the most viable source of activated carbon?
Yes, for the simple reason that the activated carbon made from coconut shell is the densest material available to us. It is much superior, of course, in many applications, although not all, because of the hardness of the coconut shell, and also the microporosity that are available after we activated the shell? So the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you for that answer. I was about to also answer a very big yes because we have conducted several researches about charcoal and activated carbon, and all those researches revealed our coconut shell is the best source of activated carbon. So we go coconut. Next question, sir. Can you expound on the support that the activated carbon industry is requesting from the government, especially in the form of tax levies?
Okay. Uh, this would be export tax. When charcoal exporters or charcoal traders that export their charcoal to China mainly, some of them don't even have proper business permit. Secondly, uh, the tax. They do not really pay any tax, or they are not paying for the cost of doing business of exporting the charcoal. In other words, they're not in the same level playing field as the activated carbon manufacturers. So they're enjoying the benefits of the charcoal available to them, but they have not paid the same kind of costs that activated carbon manufacturers are paying. So the export tax would level the playing field, like make it fair for everybody. The other aspect of this is that because we are situated in the South China Sea and it's very near to China, and we import a lot of Chinese goods, the freight to China is next to nothing. Therefore, the final cost of charcoal to China, or the cost for the importers, are lower than if they were to buy from India or Indonesia or other places. So that's also detrimental to us.
Yes. We have our friends from DTI here. Maybe we can further review the price control policies because charcoal per se is considered as one of the prime and basic commodities. So it should be under regulation.
Ma'am Rose, now that you have mentioned DTI, I would like to let you know that as PACMA, the organization that we have, tried about 4 years ago, before the pandemic, to form or to make a JMA, or Joint Memorandum Agreement, so that it would allow us to access shipping companies that have stopped or do not take activated carbon, because we are lumped as, our products are lumped as charcoal, the same as charcoal. And as you know, charcoal is a dangerous good. So we have asked Dr. Basilio to help us in this, and it was all done, except DTI did not want to sign the agreement. The reason being, it restrict free trade or restrict trades. We're not asking for unfair or more favor to our industry. We're only asking that when export of charcoal is done, it should be declared as dangerous goods. And And there are many creative ways that these exporters are doing. One of them would be to use a different name rather than charcoal. They're using names like coconut shell chip pyrolyze. So they can ship to China per container $200 instead of $2,000. So, and at the same time, if spontaneous combustion happens in the container, we will also be affected because for layman, you cannot tell charcoal from activated carbon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that information. But at this moment, we'll just have that to be put on record and have that discussed in another venue. But I precisely know how that JMC was crafted and what happened.
Thank you.
So another question for Mr. Ang. Comparison of efficiency or the quality of wood charcoal to coconut charcoal in activated carbon development, which is more efficient.
Wood charcoal or wood-based charcoal can be produced in two ways. The most common would be to use phosphoric acid. So therefore, it's a more expensive method. The other way would be just like coconut shell charcoal based activated carbon, it's steam activated. So I should say there's no better which is better, wood based or charcoal, coconut based. The only thing is it's not there is not sufficient supply of wood to produce the volume of activated carbon such as we're doing with coconut shell based activated carbon.
Okay, and there is also a ban.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for that. Another question, this is addressed to Engineer Tagaktak. I have seen the use of coir panels in construction, particularly in ceiling and wall paneling. Can you comment on the status of the development of this material?
There are many development of product developments actually from Choir. So those are just one. And in terms of the strength, actually the fiber will help the strength of the material just because it's a fiber. And then in terms of, I think still need more of the enhancement of the product from the choir. Yes, ma'am.
Can I add, ma'am?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Actually, there's a model house, almost all made of coconut at Sambuanga Residence Center. It's a three bedroom upstairs, very small bedroom, and that has been my mansion the last 2 years. Yeah, I live there, and then, although it was in 2002, it was built it's still in working condition. The one that I like are the tiles, and then also the hollow blocks, because it's light and you can throw it, it will not break. The hollow blocks made of coir.
Yes, ma'am.
Clarification on that. Are you referring to the hollow blocks with some portion of the aggregates replaced with coir and coco peat?
Just coir and cement.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's one of the opportunities for the farmers because it's easy to produce. The capitalization would be just less and then the applicability is very wide. So we are also working for the accreditation of ZRC, so that lump cocoa wood and also the hollow blocks will be accredited and to be used for urban housing and any housing application. All you have to know is the appropriate application where it will be used inside the house or outside, because our coir products have special properties of being hygroscopic.
Yes, ma'am. One more thing, let me add. These square hollow blocks, what we call it as square hollow blocks, one of the special features that it has is that this is good for the places wherein there are earthquakes, the places that experiences earthquakes, because they don't just easily crack. And then we say that these hollow blocks, of course, all the materials can be easily burned, but since it's coir, then when it is burned, it doesn't do some retain of the what we call it, that baga, not like with the heavy metal. So with that, it easily turn off the fire. So those are the features that is very good for the coir hollow blocks coming from that.
Yeah, thank you. And if you talk about those products, we would end up 2 days here. So that just directs us that we really need to hold another symposium like this, maybe product or commodity based, so that we could discuss a lot of things for the coconut farmers. So at this point, I'll no longer have questions from the questions generated through the QR code. We are open for some few questions from the audience. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude for all the resource persons we had since yesterday, lending their intellect as well as introducing the new innovations on coconut products. For Engineer Ang of PACMA, sir, we had been into producing granulated charcoal for activated carbon. In fact, we really instituted a mill for that purpose, because previously, nagre-rent lang kami doon sa mill in Davao. So, just the time na ang charcoal was just 5 pesos in the market, but we brought it as a cooperative from our members at 6. But during my time as chairman, inaral ko talaga yung then lumapit ako doon sa mga activated carbon institutions hanggang sa kapag link kami ng PJAC into a marketing contract where binibili pa sa amin yung granulated charcoal at more than 20 pesos per kilo. However, it's sad to note ngayon, when the raw charcoal now is at 21, buying it at 21 at our co-op, at yung PJAC is just buying it, the granulated charcoal, the processed charcoal, at 24. That's why we stopped the operation because it's costly for us. It would be lugi for us. No, kaya I just would like to know your price at the present.
Okay. I believe PJAC, or Philippine Japan Activated Carbon, which is a member of PACMA, buys only granulated charcoal. We mainly buy raw charcoal or not granulated charcoal. However, I believe the price difference or the price premium of raw charcoal and granulated charcoal has always been or has traditionally been about 3 to 4 pesos. So if you're saying you can get 21 pesos for raw charcoal, you would get about 25 pesos of granulated charcoal. However, as you know, when you make raw granulated charcoal, you lose certain percentage, usually about 5 to 10%. So if you add that back in, you're not ahead. And you're right, it doesn't pay you to granulate the raw charcoal if you can sell it at 21 and can only get 24. So the answer to your question is we're adjusting our price upwards right now because of the shortage of the supply of charcoal.
Thank you, sir. I will just talk later.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to input also because yesterday we mentioned that it pays to increase the operational efficiency. We observed that in the processing of charcoal, around 30% is turned into dust. Is that right? 15 to 30%. And if the dust will be utilized into briquettes, that would be affecting the final price.
Ma'am, correction. If you have 30% of waste charcoal, your product will be very expensive. The waste charcoal percentage is only about 10%. 10% of the, when you buy the raw charcoal, you generate about 10% of waste. And you're right, the 10% waste charcoal, as we call it, can be made into briquette. Yes, and that's being done right now. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I stand corrected because when we did our research around 10 years ago, that was 15 to 30%, and we're happy that you have improved your efficiency, reducing it to 10%, and all of you have manufactured briquettes.
We have not. We have sold our waste charcoal to people that make briquettes.
Yeah, okay. So that's good enough. So, Sir Roy, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much sa presentation. Nagkaroon ng mas broader range ng non-food products from coconut, no? And we're so happy na maraming mga opportunities for that. I'm speaking in behalf ng coconut farmers. Ang aming motivation lagi is profit. Ang motivation kasi ng mga millers, ng mga nasa korporasyon, profit din. Di po ba? Kailangan kumita kayo. So kami, coconut farmer, gusto rin po namin kumita. So para pareho tayong mindset na dapat nag-entrepreneur tayong lahat, no? So dapat pare-pare tayong kumita. So ang question namin lagi is, for example, sa CME or sa biodiesel, how much does this biodiesel makers, no, buy ng crude coconut oil or ng whole nut? I think it's still the same as nung pagbibili nila ng crude coconut oil for RBD or for oil. So wala kami nakitang premium. The same din lang pala. Kung bibilhin sa amin yan ng, let us say, copra para gawing diesel, coco diesel, or copra na gagawin gagawing cooking oil, the same din siyang 30 pesos bibilhin sa amin. So wala kaming premium doon actually. So how do we make na ang coconut farmers ay maging mas enthusiastic na mag-engage lalong-lalo na doon sa mga nasa biodiesel, which we feel na malaking opportunity kasi from B2 magiging B3 this year, B4 next year, and then B5 sa susunod na taon. So parang ang laki-laki. So ang tingin namin makakapag-create siya ng wealth, pero sana how does it redound sa benefit din ng supply ni coconut farmer? In the same manner, sa activated carbon, nag-try kami na mag-engage on charcoal, raw coco shell, then charcoal. Pero nakita namin walang masyadong malaking price difference kung ibenta namin siya ng raw shell. That time, 550, 5 pesos per kilogram ng raw shell. Tapos bibilhin ng 1 kilogram ng charcoal at 18 pesos. So we need 4 kilograms of raw coco shell para makagawa ka ng 1 kilogram. So halos pareho lang ang presyo. So benta na lang siya as raw. Di ba? So so naghahanap din kami sa farmer side kung saan kami kikita, kahit pa piso-piso din lang, basta kumikita rin kami. So sana makahanap tayo ng paraan na nagmimit tayo na we comply o ma-provide natin yung supply for the biodiesel at saka sa activated carbon. At the same time, kikita rin po kaming mga coconut farmers. Maraming salamat.
Anyone would like to comment?
Alam niyo po, ngayon ang DOE nagko-complain kung bakit mataas ang CME. Ang CME producers, they buy their supply first from coconut oil producer, millers. And these are the buyers of nuts, coconut from the farmers. So in other words, pagka tumaas po yung volume o ng demand ng cocoa biodiesel, tataas rin yung demand for coconut. Ang demand from coconut, kasi basically as I know, about 5 nuts makes 1 copra, 1 kilo of copra. And 1 kilo of copra gives about 0.7 something liters of oil. So if you translate that 0.7 liters of oil into 1 liter of oil, ilan coconut yun? So 5 magiging 6.8 or 8, I can't remember, but something like 8 nuts per liter of oil. So lalaki ang demand for nuts. So that's what I see na magbe-benefit ng mga farmers. Kasi dati nung araw, when there was a problem in price of copra, the one that increased the price of copra, the farm gate price of copra, was the CME. So I think we have experienced that the price of copra went up when the CME was launched. So it used to be 8 peso per kilo, I think, of copra before, and then suddenly it went up to about something like 14. So may benefit po yung pag-introduce ng cocoa methyl ester o cocoa biodiesel. Thank you. Ilang masasabi ko.
Thank you, sir. Any more comment? No more?
Just as told you, I mean, as my experience in the US, for own consumption, we do not go beyond 10% of the yield. Or if you are producing other crops, we put 10% of the land for the fuel purposes. But in the US right now, because everything is cold press, their oil for fuel is free because they're getting premium money for cold press because the meal retains all the vitamins, all the compounds if it's cold pressed. So you can double the price of your meal. So if those village level processing is cold press, they can sell their meal for twice or 3 times than soybean or from other. So that's the technique. That's why I always do village level processing, because if it's cold press, all those amino acids are there, and then in the oil that you produce, there's called the soot or the sediment. We are calling it now at Zamboanga as coconut butter. That one contains a lot of amino acid, vitamins, that is good for the feeds. And so when you formulate the feeds, It will differ for swine. It will differ for livestock, for the livestock. It will differ for the fish. It will also differ for the pets, and it will also differ for the fish. So, for example, there in the U.S. we are selling because it's cold press. It has still all the. We are selling it to 2.5 times than soybean, or from meal that is produced commercially, because commercial processing, it requires heat. They put heat in it, and then it goes twice. And in the second batch, they spray hexane, so that all the oil would be taken out. So there's more oil when it comes out. You're lucky if you get 1% oil on that on the meal. But during formulation, you have to add oil. So you have to. So instead of over 20 ingredients, if you're using this cold press mill, you only need 6 ingredients because all the vitamins, all the amino acids are there. It's the same thing with the oil. The oil that is produced by cold press is almost the same as BCO. It's just, I don't know why they go into the RBD process. I remember I was there when soybean destroyed the coconut industry. But you know how come it came back? It's the popcorn eaters. And the bad thing is, oh, it's allergic. I didn't say any. Everybody in the US eats popcorn. And put them, if it's not coconut oil that's being put in the popcorn, then it's not, they would eat it. It has to be coconut oil on the popcorn.
Yes, coconut oil. Sir Sid?
Let me address the question you have, sir. Why should you make charcoal and not sell the shell? Almost the same. The answer is one word: yield. If, as you said, you need 4 kilos of shell to make 1 kilo of charcoal, then you get only, let's say, 4 times, you're not ahead. However, if you need only 3 kilos to make 1 kilo of charcoal, then you're way ahead. 3 to 1 is easily achievable. You can even have 2.5 to 1. However, if you leave the making of charcoal out in the field where you do not have good control on the process, it's difficult to improve the yield. That's why in my presentation, I suggest that farmer co-op be formed and make a centralized processing plant to make charcoal. And so far, in our quest for the best charcoal making machine, some members of PACMA have scoured the world to look for the best method to make charcoal. We've been to China and to seen European technology. However, the proven process or ways, or one of the ways to make charcoal is using the pit type method being used by the Indian charcoal maker. Pit type, however, it's brick line. And it is used to produce charcoal. At the same time, in my presentation, you take care of the white smoke that is a major and irritating smoke to people around it. You combust the white smoke into combustible gas and burn it and produce heat using heat exchanger to dry the copras in your co-op. In other words, you have very nice charcoal from it, or you produce white charcoal. And this machine, or this kind of machines, are also being used in India. So my thinking is, why reinvent the wheel if you have this method that's already proven? And this is only very likely it has to be done in a co-op, where you have the economy of scale, where you have enough charcoal to put in the pit type charcoal making and in a continuous basis. We're talking about processing 50 tons, 100 tons of whole nuts, the shell from the whole nuts a day. So just imagine the kind of volume of charcoal you would produce and the added income to the farmers.
Can I add?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
In the charcoal making, it's not just, if you burn any lignocellulosic materials, that's especially on the shell, there's 3 products you can produce. One is tar, and then when it's mixed with, when there's some moisture with the tar, it becomes called, it's either bio-oil or wood vinegar. And wood vinegars had some uses as some other like probiotics and fertilizers and some stuff. And the other one is the wood gas. What you do is just you capture the smoke, it goes into a condensing unit. What we use there in the US is we're just using water. In fact, we tried to do this at Times Food International, and I had one too in Maasin Leyte that we have to we capture, and then you can produce more than enough heat for cooking or for drying. But you have 3 products, but a lot of the ones that I've seen is they just throw away the tar, and then they did not capture the smoke, the white smoke, because that white smoke can be converted into a gas that can, that's the gasification method for pyrolysis. As long as there's no oxygen in the process, then you will produce those three products.
Thank you, sir. The issue here is paano natin buhayin yung dalawa. The processors cannot survive without the farmers, and then the farmers cannot survive without the processors. So saan natin hahanapin yung piso? The challenge is to do product value analysis. Mention maraming products, but we did not recover the smoke. Mahal po yung ating pyroligneous acids if we can convert that into more products. So it's just a matter of technology, economies of scale, and then consolidation. So all of that we'll consider. We have our research and development branch. We do more out of this event. So time is running fast. Somebody is raising his hand. That should be the last question. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Jose Ingles, Philippine Inventor Society. You have partially answered my question. If we can produce commercial quantity of distilled pyrolytic evaporate and then commercial quantity can be made into high value products.
I think so.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you can make it into high value product. There's a lot of parts of coconut that you can make as high value products.
Yes, and that's what we want to go to.
For example, in the nata cocoa production, if you can produce the cocoa leather, just a wallet. I bought one. It's called vegan leather because it's made of other, but you can do it with nata de coco. I bought one for $750 for a small wallet.
Wow. Kapatid yan ng Coco Patch. Coco leather from Nata de Coco.
You can make jackets. I mean, there's now plenty of. Actually, India has been producing leather from coconut.
Sir, are you giving that to the coconut farmers?
You have to. I mean, when they make those, I mean, the production is simple. So, if you know how to make nata de coco, then you know how to make it. That's the same way when I talk about biodiesel. If you know how to make coffee, you know how to make the fuel.
Okay, so
Ma'am Rose,
yes,
can I add
yes, briefly.
briefly? Okay.
Yes.
I see the importance of forming farmers co-op for the simple fact that when copras are made, you open the nuts, throw away the water, diba? So the water has become a valuable commodity. So if we have a co-op run processing facilities, we can process, or you can process the coconut water into valuable products. So that solves two things: pollution on the ground and also added income for the farmers.
Thank you. And our friend from CDA is here. Yes, we've made a computation. Out of that, if we can recover fully the water from the copra making facilities, then we can even use the coconut meat for fertilizers, and then we will have a good business. Just for the computation. So as much as we want to have more questions, time is running fast. I will now give back the floor to our Master of Ceremonies. Ma'am?
Let's give them a round of applause, everyone. And now, to award the certificates of appreciation, may we call on stage our farmer directors representing Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Director Flor L. Olivar, Director Frank Roy M. Ribo, and Director Pipito P. Kapangpangan. The Department of Agriculture and the Philippine Coconut Authority presents the Certificate of Appreciation to Engineer Clifford M. Tagaktak for sharing his expertise as a resource speaker on the topic non-food coconut technologies and machineries during the Symposium on the Benefits of Coconut Products. We would like to award the same certificate to Engineer Rafael S. Diaz for sharing his expertise as a resource speaker on the topic CME for decarbonization during the Symposium on the Benefits of Coconut Products. The same certificate of appreciation goes to Dr. Rico O. Cruz for sharing his expertise as a resource speaker on the topic Coconut, Palm of Energy, during the Symposium on the Benefits of Coconut Products. And last but not the least, the same certificate of appreciation goes to Mr. Isidro T. Ang for sharing his expertise as a resource speaker on the topic the importance of activated carbon in our daily lives during the Symposium on the Benefits of Coconut Products. Held at the Philippine International Convention Center, Pasay City on August 29 to 30, 2024. Alright, bigyan naman po natin silang lahat ng Coco Clap. Alright, thank you so much, guys. At this juncture, may we call again Ms. Marjorie Atienza to facilitate today's concluding activity, the ceremonial signing of Pledge of Support.
Good afternoon po. So, I hope may energy pa tayo. So, this is the last part of our program today. So, earlier po, we asked you, our participants, to write your pledges of support so we can promote efficiently yung ating mga coconut products. After hearing such insightful presentations and discussions, so citing examples po ng ating mga pledges are many of our participants are committed to use the coconut products personally and recommending it to their families and friends to increase its utilization and for the demand to increase and encourage our farmers to produce more. So there are also commitments on developing IEC materials, highlighting all the success stories of the coconut industry and disseminating such to all possible available platforms. So there are also commitments to focus in the research and development to explore other potentials of coconut products. And many commit to assist our MSMEs, our coconut farmers, to capacitate them in producing high-quality products and encourage to value add to maximize their profits. So there are also commitments or to support or conduct researches uncovering and validating the various health benefits of coconut, especially coconut oil. And then there are explore the production of hospital grades alcohol as disinfectant, provide technical assistance to farmers in establishment of shared processing facility, assist the farmers in getting their product certifications, business matching, selling, and learning missions. And collaboration is the key. So commitments to foster partnerships with various organizations to build a resilient and thriving coconut industry is also collected. So though we might not listed all your specific commitments, rest assured po that this will be this is noted and your recommendations will be a part of our action program na isa po sa major output of this activity. So now to seal our pledges, may we invite you all po to sign here. Okay po. So sa baba na lang po, by table na lang po tayo. So unang, the Secretariat will guide our participants po in signing our pledge of support and commitment. So we will start po sa table number 10, 11, and 17. 10, 11, and 17. Anywhere po. Tables 1, 2, and 9 po. Okay, tables 12, 8, and 3. Tables 8, 7, and 13. Okay po, last batch. Table 5, 14, 15.
As we all sign the ceremonial signing of Pledge of Support, we would like to thank everyone. And today we have explored the remarkable benefits of coconut products, from their nutritional value to their versatility in various industries. We have heard inspiring insights from our esteemed speakers who have shared their expertise and experiences, highlighting how coconut products can contribute to sustainable living and economic growth. As we leave here today, let us carry forward the knowledge we've gained and consider how we can incorporate coconut products into our daily lives and support our coconut farmers. Thank you for being part of this important conversation, and let's continue to spread the word about the incredible potential of coconut products. We would also like to remind the participants that there will be a Bayan Yugan Coconut Industry Sustainability Awards Coins Award at 6:30 p.m. in the meeting room 5, and the dress code for the awarding ceremony is Filipiniana. Once again, I am Clarice Pasco from PCA. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. The presentations of the speakers can be downloaded in the QR code here. Thank you.